content discussed on this show is provided for reference and educational purposes. The content is not an attempt to practice medicine or provide specific medical advice. Always consult your personal physician for medical advice and proper diagnosis. Hello, and welcome to Vibe Science, where we like to say we're making alternative wellness the only alternative. We're excited today. Chris Hansen, my co-host, and I'm Ryan Alford. We've got Alessandra Colon. Dr. Alessandra is the CEO of Miss Chiropractic Wellness and Spa, and you likely know her as the star of the hit TLC show, Crack Addicts. Hello, doctor. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
We're excited. You know, we've been, we like to say we mind, body, and spirit. We cover the gamut here at Vibe Science, as we like to really open the door to total wellness and, you know, all the alternative ways with which you can become well from top to bottom. And, you know, you've been on Chris's radar for a while. I know you and him have been on, did a show with him, and he spoke highly of you, and I've been enjoying, you know, as we get to know one another now on social media before we even meet people, and then watching back some of your show. So we love your energy, we love your approach, and we're excited to kind of tell your story to our audience.
Listen, I'm ready to get into this. This is my favorite part of my podcast, just letting it all out there.
Yes. So Dr. Miss Chiropractic on Instagram, we'll go ahead and give that IG shout out. Miss Chiropractic, MISS. It started to make me think of like MISSIS, the old Mississippi. I don't know why my head went there. The old grammar school. Once you start down things, it's weird what triggers memories in the mind. But doctor, let's set the table for everyone. I'm sure a lot of people have heard your name or seen your beautiful face on TLC, but let's set the table for your background.
Oh gosh, my background. Where do I start? I'm a certified mutt. I don't know. I'm a full-blooded, obviously extroverted Puerto Rican. I was born in California, raised in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and spent most of my childhood overseas in Saudi Arabia. So, you know, I grew up all over the world, which was fantastic until coming to the United States of America. And that's when I got hit with stage 4 cancer. And I think that was really what catapulted a lot of my health and wellness journey.
Wow. Talk about that. Well, I mean, that's a lot to unpack there. You know, wham, we just hit you over the head. How did that diagnosis come about? And talk about that journey a little bit.
I mean, what a divine timing that I end up in MD Anderson, Houston, Texas, with stage 4 cancer. Not that everybody wants to wake up and get that diagnosis. It was a lot of misdiagnosis actually to get there. A lot of doctors not doing what they probably should have, you know. And my mom kept, you know, prying and changing doctors till finally one of them agreed to do the right testing. And sure enough, there it was, blatantly on an X-ray. And before I knew it, I was packing my bags, headed for the emergency room, and being diagnosed. And next thing I know, on a surgical table for 10 hours. And then to them tell me that I had about a week to get my affairs in order. I had a 25% chance to live, and that I need to start chemotherapy, recover from surgery and radiation right away. It was, I think, one of the most devastating but biggest blessings in my life. I ultimately believe that now. Maybe I didn't see it then. I think that's the scary part, right? In the midst of everything, you're terrified. But when I look back on it, what a perspective to have, especially as a young girl, right? Going through cancer, losing my hair, my eyebrows, my eyelashes, in the middle of a point in your life where you're trying to go into adult, right? And it was hard. People pulled my hair, they pulled my wig, they didn't ride the bus, they thought I was contagious. I think it was the first time I really learned how to fight on my own. Really.
Well, that resonates with me. My wife has stage 1 breast cancer, so it was caught pretty early, but we're in the throes of that now. So I can relate to, you know, some of the emotions and things going on. I mean, I'm obviously just the spouse in that, equation, but it's still.
Don't take that lightly. There's a lot with the caretaker as well.
Yeah, but it's devastating, but you do kind of learn who you are, and you either put up or shut up and start fighting, but 100%. you made it through on the other side, and look at you,
I did, against all odds, I have the habit of people telling me what I can and can't do, and not for nothing, I tend to prove everybody wrong over and over again. So someone's listening to me up there.
Yes. So you went from out of alignment into alignment.
Basically, yeah. I went out of this, and the first thing I thought was like, shoot, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to go treat oncology and do the whole ward thing. And I did. I went to college and did my MCATs, applied for medical school like anybody else. And I just wasn't happy. I felt like internally I was still struggling with complications from cancer, radiation, the trauma, the psychology, what had happened to me. So I was really dealing with a lot internally and physically. And that's when a friend of mine was like, hey, listen, why don't you go visit a chiropractor? I was like, okay, well, first off, they're not real doctors. Two, what the hell is that? And what are they going to do for me? That's really how it went down.
Checked all the stereotypes.
And I was like, well, and by the way, my family's going to kill me because I'm going to have to drop out of med school with something I like. But nonetheless, he's like, listen, you got nothing to lose, so just go for it. And I did. And I'm glad I did. It was the first time a doctor actually spoke to me on a really basic foundation about wellness, hydration, exercise. What am I putting in my mouth? Sugars, toxins, my thoughts, am I taking care of my mind that, expresses itself on a physical level? And by the way, get adjusted. I'm like, well, what the hell is he talking about? Because that's the chiropractic paradigm is toxins, thoughts, and traumas, right? And I thought this guy was a complete kook. And sure enough, I got adjusted and started taking his advice. And one by one, I got off my medications. And before I knew it, I was applying for chiropractic school. And here I am, ruling the world.
What a journey. And, I can speak. I'm absolutely not a doctor and not a chiro, but I had a similar impression of the field for, I'm 46 but a lot of my adult life thus far, at least half of that was in that same mindset. And then, as I got to learning and kind of opening my mind more, and then I've never had quote unquote back issues, but I went to a local chiropractor here. It was a guy, similar age. And I was like, this guy's not a kook. He's pretty cool. And so it took, unfortunately, it kind of took that sort of seeing a mirror image of myself, at least like lifestyle, in a guy, and like to kind of give it a chance. And then once I did it, I haven't looked back. This is like 7 or 8 years ago. It's like, it's just, I don't know. We have these preconceived notions on wellness and techniques and things that sometimes we just don't know what the hell what we know.
we're just so poorly pre-programmed to think what health and embodiment of health is, and it's almost absurd and ridiculous to ration and tell ourselves that it's fine to feel like this and just take a headache. It's okay to be in pain. It's okay to not get an oil change for your body. Why is it that when my check engine light goes on in my car, or I go get an alignment with my car, I'm going to take that car in right away. But when a headache ensues, when my liver's failing me, when I have low back pain, neck pain, whatever it might be, I'm gaining weight, why isn't that we don't stop for a second and say, oh, hold on, maybe my body's innately telling me something so I can take care of that, right? It's this mindset that we just need to break through. And I think we're in that process now. I think I was telling Chris that I think the pandemic really did something. And whether you lie on one side or the other, right, it awakened people. People had a distrust in pharmaceuticals. People have a distrust in I wouldn't say doctors now, but in their own health regulations and how they view health, right? And insurance provisions. We can go into so many different pathways to this. And I think people are like, hold on. I need to take over. I need to be my own advocate. I need to drink more water. I need to get organic foods. I need to watch what's put in my mouth. Maybe I need to drink less, exercise, take time to vacation and take stress away from my body, get regularly adjusted. And I think you're just now starting to see the ripple effects of that. I believe there's an awakening happening.
Yeah. No, I think you feel it. And it's like, as much as I think and I don't love it all the time, social media being, the negative side of social media, I do think the positive of social media is the ability and the amplification of these thoughts and feelings and awakenings for a lot of people. So I know you've benefited from that, I'm sure, with your own following and the show and things like that. But I do think it's helping to spread the word on alternative approaches that shouldn't necessarily be classified alternative.
Well, I mean, I bring a step further. Chiropractic's been around since 1895. This isn't brand new. The thought is brand new. Why? Because we didn't win against the American Medical Association until 1992 in the Supreme Court. So when you look at it in terms of how people view chiropractic and alternative medicine, it's new-ish, right?
Yeah.
And so bring that a step further, that now people are really divulging into their health. So there's been this massive division from the medical indoctrination and then the overall wellness care. And you're seeing this merge come together. And you're seeing people realize, oh, hey, listen, I say all the time, medicine saved my life, but chiropractic continues to save my life, right? So why isn't there a merge happening for the co-management of patients for your overall health, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. Sure, I'm a chiropractor, but I own a med spa. And I own a med spa because I have crazy complicated cases from all over the world, and not everybody's a chiropractic candidate. I'm okay with that. My first and foremost job is to be a doctor, to listen to my clients. That's my first job, always. Whatever the heck that means, I'm going to do.
Speaking of that, speaking with Dr. Alessandra Colon, I know you use a whole person approach. That intrigued me. I know let's go down that road a little bit. What exactly? I mean, it sounds obvious, but I don't know that it is. So let's talk about that a little.
Right? For multiple reasons. One, because a chiropractor is essentially a doctor of the nervous system. I look to the spine, decrease inflammation, figure out where there might be subluxations, but inflammation isn't just about the spine, right? Inflammation can be stress from work, how you sit, your ergonomics, your workload, your travel load. Inflammation can be present because you have an autoimmune disorder. It doesn't matter, a disease, a dis-ease of the body, right? So when you're talking about being a whole approach, right, I had to take it a step further, especially with my newer company, because when I started seeing these extreme cases after my show on TLC, I have brain injuries, I have dystonias, I have dystaxias, I have speech impediments. I have the most crazy slew of patients, and I had to be more whole embodiment, right? Because chiropractic wasn't the only thing that was going to get them off my table, right? Some of them had to get Botox from migraines. I had patients in here who were 380 pounds who needed to get into semaglutide to lose the weight to even get on spinal decompression before they were a viable physical therapy or chiropractic patient. So it's really about meshing all the different ways you can come up to a more wellness approach to the body, right? But then it's also massage and looking at the musculoskeletal system. So it really goes into every facet of me. Guys, I have people in here who they come in here, and this is what I talk about, whole body approach. Sometimes they come in here and all they do is cry. I have rape victims. I have people where the rape victims are showing up as physical attributes. And it's the most interesting thing to sit in front of that patient and talk to them about their traumas and how that's coming out in their stress and how they harness their energy, right? But we don't talk about that. That's the whole body approach. I'll go sessions with some of these victims before I even place my hands on them. They don't even trust me. They don't trust me. You want me to place your hands on you after you've gone through a traumatic event? This is the whole person approach, right? Sometimes it's not just about chiropractic care. So I really have to come at it from whatever angle that my patient is presenting to me.
You know what? There's a lot to unpack there, but I'm going to just start. So, I mean, some of the trauma that comes to that, I can't even imagine. And
well, look at an NFL player. Isn't that trauma?
Oh yeah, it's total.
Look at a sports perspective, right?
Yeah.
They get off the field and they've been paid millions and millions and millions, got taken concussions, all these things, right? And then they're expected to live this beautiful life afterwards. Congratulations, you had 30 million in your bank account. Now what? I'm left with a body full of traumas.
Yep.
There's another version. So the whole body approach is truly from, like I said, whatever my client presents to me.
The irony or the sadness of this is, and I really like my day-to-day doctor. I now have a longevity doctor that I work with, and I like my day-to-day doctor, but I'm going to say something. It's not a whole person approach, like it never has been. And he's a great doctor. And when I've needed treatment or had conditions, he's done well. He's an internal medicine doctor, so we've done blood tested, so we have done some preventative things over the years. And I think the way he was trained, his bedside manner, all those things are really great. However, the whole practice is missing the complete equation, like of what you're talking about. And, it's really fascinating to me that, you're bringing all that perspective because I don't know, there's just such a relationship that happens with the doctor and the patient on any level. And to really get underneath that, I think is going to a level to where you're giving true care. And that's the key word.
I think there's an interesting thing that I go through, especially as a chiropractor. And this is what I think is so special about what I do, right? My patient will come in, we get x-rays. We don't want to shoot darts in the dark. And they're like, well, why do I need x-rays? And I said, well, it's easy because when I look at your x-rays, I'm not looking for reason for prescription medication, the symptoms, an epidural, an ablation, surgical route. Let me write you a script, get the heck out of here. I want to look at your baseline of what your body's telling me, right? And create a foundation. Say, okay, I can't undo this. I can deal with this. And this is what your lifestyle and your future looks like moving forward, right? But then take it a little step further. I'm now a physician who gets to see my patient 3 times a week for 4 weeks, twice a week for 6 weeks, maybe every month, every 2 weeks, wellness, 17 years, and their kids and their kids, right? I have such a special relationship where I not only get to be in front of them all the time and not only become their physician, but their friend, right? But I get to place my hands on them. I had 5 misdiagnoses yesterday with my concierge patients because I wondered sometimes, right, if the doctor even touched them. Did your doctor touch you? Did your doctor touch you? I don't even know. I go to a doctor's office and I wait an hour. Then I get to the doctor. Maybe it's the PA. Then I wait another 40 minutes. Then the other person comes in. Maybe it's a nurse practitioner. And then maybe I saw the doctor for 3 minutes. And then they know exactly what's going on with me medically and they give me a diagnosis and a pill. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm in a beautiful position to place my hands on patients. And I wonder when we forgot to roll up our sleeves.
Well, the doctor's offices are far from what the definition of customer service and care typically are in any other industry. And fortunately, my wife's dealt with that with her cancer diagnosis. The doctors have been great once we're with them, but every other part of the experience is the furthest thing from care.
100%. And I recognize that. I recognize it when I had cancer. I recognize it when I was going through doctors. I recognize it when I was going through therapy. I recognize it through all of my complications. And it was one of those moments when I crossed that stage and I graduated and they told me to first do no harm and take my doctor's oath that I swear by now. Like I will deliver whatever I need to deliver for my patient. And by the way, if I don't know the answer because I'm not perfect, I'll go find you an answer. I'm just dedicated to ensure that we change how we look at healthcare and the healthcare that my patients are receiving.
We've talked about it, doctor, like maybe the misconceptions, but maybe let's go down that road, for our listeners, even a little further of, what, a chiropractor and the other wellness practices and techniques that you use are and aren't, I think, what's probably like the biggest misconception that still exists?
That I'm not a real doctor. Don't worry, guys. I passed 4 board exams. Oh my gosh.
Didn't stop me from letting you crack me up and align me. I
right? It's the idea that we're treating, right, the causation and not the symptoms, and more importantly, that if you give your body the fuel that it needs, it really can function like it needs to, right? I mean, think about a car, right? You put the wrong fuel in it, it's not going to perform well, right? But if you put the right fuel in it, that thing's going to rev up and go down that hallway, baby. You know what I'm saying? So you got to think about it in terms of how you feel in your body. That's why I like to think about a chiropractor. But when you're talking about misconceptions, this stuff still exists. It's so freaking wild, guys. I went on, I don't know if I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it. I went on a show recently. This is a great example. And when I get on the show, it's 4 days before, and they call me and they say, hey, what do we love to call you? I said, what do you mean, what are you going to call me? They said, well, are you a medical doctor? I said, no, I'm a DC, a doctor of chiropractic. And they said, well, is there something else that we can call you? I said, physician of chiropractic, chiropractic physician. Yeah, but are you certified? I said, yes, I've passed 4 board exams and I took a practicum. Watch me do my radiology, honey. And they were like, well, you know what? We got to think about this. It's medical show. We'll let you know. Okay. I then know that I'm one of the first chiropractors, and I'll say it, I was one of the first chiropractors to ever go on this show, right? And it was a big deal because it was nationwide. And they called me and let me know that I was going to be called a doctor of chiropractic 2 days before I went on the show. Oh, thanks for letting me know. Thanks for letting me know, right? I mean, I don't take it personally, right? But then add to that I also am female, so I'm combating a whole different dimension of chiropractic. You think chiropractors, you think strong, big men, right? No, it's technique, it's speed, right? But I'm well versed in everything. I'm well versed in anatomy. When you look at how the spectrum works, guess what? You guys, medical doctors, get about 2 semesters more of pharmaceuticals, and I apply those 2 more semesters towards anatomy. That's the only differentiation. That's it.
Yeah.
Microbiology, everything, genetics, we do it all. Embryology, we do it all.
This is what we do here at Vibe Science. We're killing misconceptions. Number 1, Dr. Alessandra Colon. We didn't have to ask. We don't have to ask permission. She is a doctor. So
to all of my patients, I am their primary care physician. And it's such a beautiful thing to do, right? I mean, God, yesterday killed me. This patient came in, neuropathy, gabapentins, narcotics, Oxycontins, whatever they could to kill the neuropathy. And this is a perfect example. Her feet were black and blue, almost as if it was like a diabetic necrosis. Okay. I said, what, do you have diabetes? She says, no. And I go, well, why would they say that this looks like neuropathy? It might feel like neuropathy, but it doesn't look neuropathy. Raynaud's, lack of circulation, complete misdiagnosis because no one touched her. No one looked at her. No one bothered with her. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. It's the times where I just want to pick up the phone and be like, what are you doing?
Really? Let me ask you this, doctor. I think, people like to know. So talk about the story behind the show. What led to it? What made you crazy enough to do it? And how was or is the overall experience?
Well, I think it's safe to say I'm not your typical doctor. And, I was just doing what I always do. My ID is a little bit silly. It's who I am. It's authentic to who I am. And I did a ridiculous TikTok on period cramps. And it hit 17 million views in like 24 hours. Thought nothing of it. Whatever. Super cool. Bro, I got 17 million views. Okay, cool. About 2 weeks later, I hear from an email. Hey, we're doing the first chiropractic televised series on TLC. We'd love to have you as our show and help pioneer this movement. I deleted it. Yeah, right. No one's reaching out to me. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Delete the email that was in it. 2 weeks later, they reached back out. Hey, we haven't heard back from you. We were really serious about you being a contender for this show. And then I see that it's from Warner Brothers. And I'm like, oh, I was like, maybe this is legit. So I inquired about it. It was about 1.5 years in the making. They came from the pilot, and it was the first time there was a massive explosion for my profession nationwide, and I'm really, really, really proud of that. I was really terrified. Mostly because, first off, right, chiropractors who they're not real doctors, right? And then how am I going to honor my profession? what most people don't know about chiropractors and what's differentiating like, you know, chiropractor and a normal doctor is I can only imagine there might be a way to cut up a spine so many times. Chiropractic, there's like 20 different versions of chiropractic, 20 different philosophies. There's 1,000 different ways to manipulate the spine. There's 100 different techniques. So trying to illustrate what chiropractic was while also being science-based and philosophical enough and showing technique and then, you know, keeping it light, but also making my professional proud was really, really scary. I had no idea how they were going to react to the show. And then they called it Crack Addicts, and I literally wanted to go in a corner and cry. Like, yeah, come on, guys. So I am going to get annihilated for the show being called Crack Addicts. What a way to enter it.
From a marketing perspective, I love it, but I can understand why it would, you know, set you off with everything you just laid out.
You're right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, I fought the producers. At the end of the day, you're completely right. From a marketing perspective, let me do the doctoring, let them do production. And I just had to let it go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Overall, and once you settled in, enjoyed it, glad you did it?
Yes. Filming is literally 10 times harder than being a doctor, by the way.
Oh yeah. Show business is business.
Woo, wait. I mean, talk about long days. And by the way, I filmed the entire show 6 weeks postpartum. I had just had a baby. So I'm not joking. I was like trying to lose the weight, putting makeup on, waking up for all my nursings, barely sleeping, going on set, 10-hour days, coming home, stripping my scrubs off, putting it in the laundry, telling my mom to bring me the baby for my boob. It was just, it was crazy. It was crazy. I'd be like, cut, guys. Cut. I need a break. My boobs are full. I mean, this is really how it is for a woman in business working and trying to juggle everything. It was a really wild time for me.
Has the reaction been, you know, between friends, fame, all that stuff, been positive for the most part?
My profession, completely supportive. I'm really happy about that. 97%. I've barely heard anything bad about it. There's the haters on Instagram and TikTok, but I would just argue, get in the arena and box with me. Let's go. I'm super blessed that I have a really tight-knit family and a really tight-knit community that is 100% behind me. I don't know how I got so lucky. I say jump and they tell me, they're like, what mountain are we going off, Alessandra? I'm like, that one, the highest one. It catapulted my career, my family life, my fame to a place I could never imagine. I ended up quitting my job at the height of it. I've never made so much money. And I went home and told my husband, I'm going to empty out the bank account. I'm going to start a company and I'm going to go nationwide. And he was like, okay. And I emptied our bank accounts and built a practice in less than 4 months. And my clinic has been full since the day I opened.
The power hey, you know, I trademarked a little statement. It pays to be known.
Man, but don't get it twisted, right? Because I think people, when they see you in that spotlight, right, and they see you with the money and all these other things that, you know, look like they're blessings on blessings, which they are, right? They think that you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. It's not like that. No. It's you know, it's like you go to science class and you get an A when you start, right? But by the end of the semester, you can get a C, D, E, F, right? And you have to maintain that. And I think the maintenance is so hard, and it's only built for a few people. Yes.
Well, that's the thing. You know, everybody thinks that success and or, you know, all the stuff is a destination. No. It's a constant journey, constant maintenance. You know, it's constant refinement.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely. And talk to that, right? All of a sudden I have a wait list of 20,000 patients from all over the world, Ireland, Australia, Canada, Alabama. And I'm thinking, well, how the hell am I going to give more of me? Right? It was the first time I had to step into my own shoes as an entrepreneur and say, Now I got to give them the experience. Now it's the Miss Chiropractic experience. Now it's just not Dr. Colon. And how the hell am I going to sell myself? Now I'm stepping out of a role and getting uncomfortable being uncomfortable, trying to spread myself and delegate and have a team so I can handle the masses. It's one of the biggest undertakings ever done.
I know, Chris, you've been adjusted by the doctor, so you can speak firsthand to her abilities and know her. I'll let you jump in here and share some perspective.
Oh yeah, just awesome chiropractor, awesome doctor. I like everything we talked about. Growing up, chiropractor. Like my parents were afraid. My dad would always talk about like being afraid of his neck breaking or something. And then I got into it probably in college. I started going, and so I've always found value in it. But I mean, what you're doing, I love, and I think it's probably one of the reasons we vibe really well is we all have the same mission. We're just going different routes to get there. But what you're saying of blending kind of traditional Western medicine and I don't know, is Chiro Eastern? What would you call it?
I don't know if it's Eastern.
Alternative, right? I don't know. But dude, anyone in the South Florida area, highly encourage you to go to her practice. It's a beautiful facility, great energy. The staff is so awesome. I mean, me and Pamela, my videographer, she cracked us up real nice. Pamela had never been to a chiropractor ever. She was afraid.
I had her crying.
She was crying of joy. Yeah. Crying of joy and relief. Yeah. It's my best friend's wife. So I'm like, don't hurt her. I got to bring her back home. But no, it's awesome. We got the IV therapy. You're doing hydrofacials, right? Are you doing microneedling?
Yep. Injectables, shockwaves, bone decompression, you name it. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's truly full wellness. Yeah. Even the aesthetics. So, and like you said, the energy, your energy is part of, in my opinion, medicine. Like, and we don't talk about that. And right, what you guys said with my normal doctors, right?
Yeah.
Now I've been lucky to have a few old school guys, which they've mostly retired, but they were the old school knocking my knee, doing ultrasounds on the whole body. And that's rare. It's very, very rare.
Yeah.
But this full body approach, like you said, we're going for the causation. And someone else said it perfectly with pharmaceuticals. We're treating the effect with another cause to cause another effect, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. We treat something to treat something to treat something to treat something.
Yeah. Yes. There's always side effects.
I love that you spoke to energy. Actually, you're going to love this. I copyrighted and trademarked the phrase aggressive happiness. And I do that because I really did. I'm a nutcase. But it's because, like I said earlier, I touch my patients. And listen, I'm not perfect, but I truly do believe that the energy that goes through me when I'm touching my client actually runs through them. And it's a really, really important part of my practice. And I know it sounds silly and pseudoscience to people. So yes, there's part of chiropractic that is all science-based. For me, the way that I approach my table, the way I touch my client is a really, really, really big deal for me. Because I truly believe that's part of the experience and part of the healing process. You can tell when somebody's had a bad day. It's like a woman going up to you at a bar and then placing their hand right on your arm and you get the chills. You're like, oh man, I want to get to know her, right? It's this undeniable connection that you get to have with your patient that I don't take for granted.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's a frequency. I mean, it's a wavelength. I mean, it's just
100%.
Like, yeah. I mean, and that is missing sorely in most doctor-patient experiences.
Yeah. I find it common.
Connection, right? But almost in everything.
Chiros and massage therapists, I found that common, where energy is a normal part of the experience. And even really good chefs have said this with how they prepare their food. They purposely think of love and positive energy as they're preparing the meal. And I'll tell you what, like you guys both said, you don't feel that going to your normal walk-in family practice. Fill out the iPad, sit down, shut up, wait your turn, get your 3 minutes. Here's your script. You're out of here.
Nah, that's not me. That's too cold. It's too cold for me. I like warmth. I like love.
That's funny because I look at you guys as healers in a way, right? And we have a lot of MDs that I feel like are so disconnected from that part of everything. Everything is so black and white. They're out of touch with the energetic and even like you said, bedside manner. If someone's having a bad day, just that interaction and a little alignment, they're leaving on cloud 9, but might more so be because of your energy and how you treated them.
And take it a step further. Part of that energy is listening. Imagine having a doctor that listened to you. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, right? But listen, I don't want to say that I'm not educated in all these other things, right? But there's sometimes as doctors, we get an ego, right? Or when we get to a certain level or stage in our life, maybe it's a CEO,
Sometimes.
maybe it's a founder. Sometimes we get that ego, right? But that ego for me, when I'm with a client, can't be present because that ego blocks me from my potential diagnosis, my potential diagnosis, my potential to really hear what's going on with them. And I can't tell you how many times I have a client sit in front of me and they say to me, oh my God, I've been to 20 different doctors. I know something's wrong, blah, 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 blah. I can't find a solution. Something's, this is your patient telling you innately that something's wrong with them. Take a minute to sit down, change the recipe, and figure it out. There's got to be a different route, right? Because I'm the expert, but my patient is the greatest expert of all. No one knows their body like you know your body. Listen to them. It's an incredible gift we get to have. Although I'm obviously strange and all.
I mean, I think I think you're absolutely right. And I think for a long time we've been disconnected from that or even knowing that. I think that was something like, you're just like, well, it's out of my control. I got to go to the doctor's office. They'll tell me what's up. Yep. I think so much of our power has been taken away where like you guys both said with COVID, people are realizing they can take their own health into their hands to a degree. You
have to be your own best advocate when it comes to your health journey, period, and a story, no matter what that looks like.
100%. That's the key. Empowerment in your own health.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Doctor, where can everyone keep up with everything that you have going on, learning more about you, your practice, and what the future holds?
This year, I have probably another 23 speaking engagements. So I'll be traveling all over the nation, speaking on business acumen, women empowerment, chiropractic, wellness. You can find me at mischiropractic.com, on IG, Miss Chiropractic. To follow what my next big things are. I have some pretty big surprises coming up, whether that's television, some magazine covers and more. So I'm really, really excited to show what it's like to be able to do it all. Not sometimes stumbling. I stumble, guys, but you can do it all. It's just a matter of a mindset and creating some balance in your life.
Love it. MissChiropractic.com, at Miss Chiropractic on the IG, and the wellness spa is at Miss Chiro Wellness. We'll have all that in today's show notes. We really appreciate you coming on, Doctor, and we love your vibe.
Go be fearless.
Hey guys, you know where to find us online. Chris and I on IG. We got those blue check marks for you. You can buy them. We'll see you next time on Vibe Science.